Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
This is a bonus episode. What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience, episode number 422. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Are you tired of enduring soul-crushing, hair-breaking, money-wasting services from hairstylists who can't handle your ethnic hair? Then you want to lean in and learn from Jihan Thompson, the founder of Swivel Beauty. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I've given our audience such a brief bio. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and your business?
Sure. So I am the founder and CEO of Swivel Beauty, and we are a platform that is focused solely on helping women of color, specifically Black women, connect with talented hairstylists who know how to work with their texture, natural or relaxed, and book appointments all in one place. So you can go to swivelbeauty.com and really go from looking to booking the best stylist for you in just a few clicks, whether you want to get braids, a blowout, a wig, weave, relaxer, twist out, you name it. We have really focused on helping Black women connect with stylists who really do know how to work with texture and understand the needs of the Black female consumer when it comes to her hair care. Prior to launching Swivel, I was actually a magazine editor for about 10 years, worked at publications like Glamour, Marie Claire, Oprah Magazine. And it was really during this time working in beauty and women's lifestyle that I saw this gap in the market for technology that really serviced women who looked like me, who had the same hair care needs that I did, but didn't feel like there was a way. We were doing everything from our phones, right? You're ordering a cab, you're ordering food, you're shopping for clothes, but you still couldn't find a great hairstylist in your community. And I felt like there needed to be a way to do that through technology. So I started Swivel.
That's awesome. Talk about vetting your hairstylist to be on your platform.
Sure. So when we first started the business, we were going into salons. So I'm based in New York City. That's where the business started. And the beginnings of it were literally boots on the ground, walking into salons, getting our hair done, talking to stylists, getting recommendations from friends of friends. Like we really built this kind of network, which was bringing word of mouth online, right? So traditionally, if you were going to get your hair done and you're in someplace new or we're trying a new style, you might ask a friend or ask a friend of a friend to be like, hey, who do you go to? Or who's a good stylist, right? So we built the basis of Swivel with that same general premise and principle when we wanted to create a online marketplace to really find and source these stylists. So that was the initial vetting process. Since we've grown and now we are growing the stylists across the country on our platform, we do it a couple different ways. So when stylists sign up, they have to tell us a lot about themselves in terms of, are they licensed? What services do they do? What are their specialties? We get into how long have they been in business? How many years of experience do they have? We really want to learn more about them as a stylist because we know that this isn't just about hairstyling, it's about hair care, right? And you want a stylist who's going to be a partner with you on this journey for you to reach your hair goals. We also work with ambassadors. We have clients across the country who will recommend stylists to us too, which is so special when they say, oh, I know a great stylist who should be on Swivel. So a lot of it is still recommendation based, but we also do source quite a bit of information from stylists who want to join the platform. So when someone's booking, they feel like they have the information they need to make a choice they feel good about.
What is something that we don't know about the hair industry that we should know as consumers?
Oh, that's a great question. I think, there's so many things that I do think there are a lot of misconceptions about. But one of the things I think I learned very early on in starting Swivel is that oftentimes people will say, I can't find a hairstylist. I can't find a good hairstylist. I don't know who to go to. And I think one of the eye-opening things about launching Swivel is how many amazing, talented stylists there are doing hair in your community. I can't tell you how many times we've had clients say to us, oh my God, I had no idea this stylist was around the corner from my job. She's amazing. I could go to her on my lunch break. Or I just moved to a new neighborhood and I had no idea there was a stylist here. I don't have to travel back home. We've heard that a ton, right? People who will say, I will travel back to where I'm from to get my hair done from a stylist who has done my hair my whole life because there's nobody where I am. And we just know that's not the case. And I think since building Swivel, it has really opened my eyes to just the number of professional, talented hairstylists who know what they're doing. And I think sometimes it's hard when there isn't a place to source them, that it's easy to miss them, right? If you're not walking down the street where their shop is, or you're just busy, right? And you're not looking and doing all of that vetting work for yourself, I think it can be hard to realize how many great options there are right there in your community that you can be supporting and patronizing. So that will be one thing I will say, because we do hear often people saying, I can't find a stylist, I can't find a stylist, but they are there and they're doing great work. And that was one of the reasons that I started Swivel, was that, at the time there was like a lot of blow dry bar concepts popping up, and there were ideas around like, okay, do we start our own hair salon? And what I realized is that we didn't need to reinvent the wheel. Like, we didn't need to create a new salon experience. There are so many great stylists out there that just need access. They need to have the right marketing tools so that clients know that they exist. It's really that simple, but I do think it's not an easy problem to solve, which is what we're doing with Swivel Beauty. Other misconceptions, I will say, I think a lot of times when it comes to product, there's a lot in the product space. And I will say in the last few years, we've seen kind of an explosion of products either created by founders of color, marketed products directly to people that look like us, just more thoughtful about products that can work with our hair type and texture. But oftentimes I think people struggle, especially in the natural hair community, can struggle with products because they're not using them the right way. And often what I find is that if you had a great hairstylist you could go to, not just for the styling, but also for that hair care education and knowledge, you can say, these are the products you need to be using at home in between your hair appointments, your hair can really flourish. So sometimes I think people are like, I got to find new products. There needs to be more. I got to try this other new thing that just came on the market. When really, I do think there's an opportunity that if you actually used a hairstylist and talk to them about, okay, well, what should I be doing when I leave this chair, right? Like, what am I going to do for the next 2 weeks before I see you again, or however long you go between your appointments? I do think there's a product knowledge gap that stylists can really help fill in, because they have that expertise about knowing, one, your hair, and then knowing what products and the right cocktail of products that can help you reach your hair goals.
Let's talk about some of the shifts in the beauty industry, specifically like with COVID. I know here in Las Vegas, there's some stylists who actually transitioned out of beauty because of COVID. Have you found that so, or you found more people going into hair care?
So yes, I've seen both of those trends. We definitely had stylists who during the pandemic that were on our platform transitioned out of hair, or in some cases we saw that they were still doing hair, but maybe they left their salon. So they moved to a different salon, or if they had their own space, maybe they moved back into a salon where they were renting a chair and wanted to do different things just because of the economics of the situation, right? Like, I think being not able to perform the services that you perform in an in-person business for many, many months had a huge detrimental effect on the hairstyling industry, on stylists being able to grow their businesses, right? So we did see a lot of stylists making changes, but I think one of the things that remains amazing about the hairstyling industry is that it's always growing. There are always new entrants into this category, and the hairstyling services category continues to be one of growth. So while some stylists transitioned out, other stylists transitioned in.
It was really interesting. You were talking about someone moving to a new area and actually vetting or finding a hairstylist. What would you recommend in terms of using your services?
Sure. So we are focused right now solely on growing nationwide and increasing the stylists we have on our platform across the country. So we are certainly a vehicle that you can come to start your search and look for a stylist. And like I said, you can really go from looking to booking in just a few clicks through Swivel. One of the things that we do that is different than many other platforms is that when you're performing a search, you can actually put in your hair type, what service you're looking for as well. Because we know somebody with super curly, kinky hair might be looking for something different than somebody with a loose curl, and certainly different than somebody who still is relaxing their hair. So really the goal there is about helping you connect with a stylist that matches both your hair goals, but also your hair type. And you can read reviews as well. So we have reviews from other clients, and within those reviews, we'll say what their hair type was as well. So you can do that additional level of vetting, is almost as if you're asking all of these girlfriends with a similar hair texture to yours, would you recommend this hairstylist? But being able to do that online.
So a stylist is listing, as well as someone who has a great stylist. What is the process if they would like to actually be on the platform? How should they move forward? And if someone wants to make a recommendation for a stylist, what's the process for that?
Sure. So you can go right on the swivelbeauty.com website to sign up as a stylist, Right now, we actually have recently launched 2 amazing integrations where if you use Square Appointments as your scheduling software or Acuity, which is also called Squarespace Scheduling, to manage your appointments, you can sync that directly into Swivel in just a couple of clicks. So now what we've been able to do is create these integrations. So no matter what scheduling software you're using, you can sync it with Swivel. And that way your services, your availability, your time, your hours, all of that pulls into our platform without you having to re-enter all of that information directly into Swivel. So a stylist can get signed up very quickly through our platform. And even if you're not using those 2 scheduling softwares, we still make it really easy to link whatever booking platform you're using. So clients can find you, read reviews, check out your Instagram, look at your portfolio, and then click and book directly through the platform. So all of that can happen directly on the Swivel site. If a client wants to recommend their stylist, same deal. They can just send them directly over to swivelbeauty.com and sign up as a stylist.
Raising capital. How did you raise capitals to start swivel.com?
So to start swivelbeauty.com, we did a couple different things. And I actually ended up starting the business with a childhood friend of mine prior to the pandemic. And we raised from angels at first. We went through an accelerator program. Through that accelerator program, we raised from a few more investors, all pre-pandemic fundraising. But really it was about getting out there and really understanding how to go about like financing and fundraising. Like it's a whole different world. Like I said, I did not come from the world of tech entrepreneurship. So I really did have to learn how to do all of this, how to find investors, how to connect with them, create a pitch deck. And a lot of that came through networking and doing a lot of research on the industry and then applying for accelerator programs and getting in. One of the first accelerator programs we did was Sephora Accelerate. It was probably in our first year of business. They had reached out to us. We'd been written up in the New York Times and they reached out to us about applying to their program. And that ended up being a great jumping off point for learning about meeting with investors, about other accelerators. So I went through that process to start the business, but also used a lot of my own capital. So like I said, when I launched the business with a co-founder in the beginning, we were right there in the trenches, using some of our savings to build the first iteration of our platform from scratch. We were the ones like drawing out what every screen of the app, we were originally an app and now we're a website so that we can access on every mobile device, tablet, computer. But in the beginning, we did have an iPhone app and that was us just like mocking up every screen, being like, this is what the screen looks like when they come into the app. And then they're going to click here and using our savings to fund that first iteration of the platform because it was important to us to have skin in the game, to be a part of what we were building and understand that we were building something that people wanted. So being part of that early test and learn phase was crucial to us then going and speaking to investors.
What advice would you give someone before they connect with investors?
That's a great question. I would say, knowing what I know now, I think there's a lot of publicity around how much people raise, right? How much fundraising people get. There's a way to get swept up in that, in the fanfare of that being the goal. And I would caution early founders, particularly founders of color, to think about how you can really fund the first version of your platform yourself before taking outside capital to really understand what you're building. Because oftentimes we come to something with an idea, we think it'll work. It's probably a great idea, but really you don't know what you don't know until you're in the weeds of it, until you're building it and you're talking to customers and you're figuring out what works. Like we've had so many learnings in building Swivel Beauty from where we started to where we are now. And while the core business has never changed, like the core goal and the core mission of what we're doing, there's so much that we've learned about acquiring stylists, acquiring customers, building the right experience. As I mentioned, we started as an app and now we're a web-based platform. Things you just have to learn along the way, right? There's no cheat sheet. You do really have to just go through it. And I would say for as long as you can, and of course it depends on the product. If you're doing something that's very capital intensive, that's going to be you're going to have different needs. But if you can, and in this day and age, I think it's very easy to spin up a website without a lot of capital. It's I wouldn't say easy, but it's not capital intensive maybe to start with a product, right? Like you can get things into market without as much capital up front to really test and learn and do as much of that as you can, get as far as you can before you're like, okay, I need to bring in more capital for the idea of growing this, right? To go from I'm able to make this many products, I'm able to get this many customers to my tech platform, but now I'm at a place where I need more engineers, right? Or I need bigger manufacturing. So then that's the time to think about getting investors. I think for a while there was a time of like, you've got an idea, get an investor, right? And now I think the idea is more, especially what we've seen in a lot of the market trends since the pandemic, is you've got to prove out that revenue model first. And you as a founder want to prove out that revenue model first before bringing on investors. Not just about what the investor wants. I think for the founder, that's important too.
What inspires you? Tell us your why. Why do you do what you do?
Well, I really believe that there needs to be, I think of myself at my core as a problem solver and wanting to solve problems that affect women who look like me. So the why for Swivel has always been deeply rooted in this unwavering conviction that Black women deserve a seamless, satisfying way to get their hair done. It should be easy. It should be uncomplicated. It should feel good, right? It shouldn't be this kind of like struggle of like, oh, I have to find a stylist or I had this bad experience. No, like I want it to feel like such a easy, simple experience for Black women that this becomes part of the culture. When you think about getting your hair done, you think about Swivel Beauty, whether that's booking your appointments, finding a stylist, everything that experience can encompass. We want to make that feel super easy because our hair is such a huge part of our confidence, right? When your hair's done and you look good, you just feel like you just have this feeling that we all can't even put into words, right? But we all know what it feels like when our hair looks how we want it to look and we feel like our best version of ourselves, right? And I think being able to deliver a tech experience that allows Black women to have that for their hair is my why. And the fact that I still see so many people saying, I can't find a hairstylist. Or like, I'll see things on Instagram where like a celebrity stylist will say like, hey, people shout out a stylist in your neighborhood. And there'll be thousands of comments. And then people will be like, what about Seattle? What about Austin? Like you were asking me yesterday, what about Vegas? Like they all need to be in one place, right? Like we do not need to be trying to source these things in the comments of Instagram posts. There needs to be one marketplace that really serves this consumer and serves her well. And that has always been my why with Swivel.
So for the stylist that wants to join swivelbeauty.com, is there a fee associated with that?
There is, yeah. So we charge $25 per month or $250 for the year. So it's a little bit of a slight discount if you sign up for a yearly membership. And we like to think of it as like a marketing fee. So this is really a platform to help you connect with clients who are looking for your services. And what I like to tell stylists is that this pays back, that $25 typically pays back right on your first customer because you're charging far more than $25 for your service. So if you get even just one customer through Swivel, you've already paid yourself back for that marketing expense, more than paid yourself back for that marketing expense to help grow your business. So we want to keep it affordable because we know that stylists are small business entrepreneurs themselves and are looking for ways to grow their business, but we think there's a lot of value in what we can create through our platform. And we also do more for stylists behind the scenes than you would just see on the platform. So we have done a lot of brand partnerships. So brands will come to us when they're looking to connect with stylists for like R&D, wanting to get their expertise on product testing, wanting to work with them from an influencer space. We'll have press come to us saying, we need a braider to talk about this topic for our website or in our magazine. So we're often connecting our stylists with opportunities beyond the chair. We've had sent stylists to Fashion Week in New York City, to Essence Fest in New Orleans. So oftentimes we'll have brands and companies come to us when they're looking for Black hair stylists who know Black hair, and they'll come to Swivel and say, who do you recommend? Who can we work with for this? And so we're often recommending the stylists in our community for lots of other opportunities that go beyond just having a profile on our platform. We really are about building community within our stylists. We've done workshops. So when the pandemic first hit, we were offering free workshops on money management, right? Because that was such a moment of like, what are you going to do? Like suddenly your income stream has just dried up in the matter of like hours. So doing things like that, we did virtual campaign with Unilever and Dove, giving stylists the opportunity to earn money through virtual appointments during the pandemic. So there's a lot more that we're offering that isn't just the core. When you see on the website, when you sign up and create your profile, we want to drive you more business. That's end game for us. So yes, we want you to have a profile so clients can find you and you can continue to build your business. But we often know that a lot of stylists want to do more. They're not just looking, they might want to build a brand. They might have product aspirations. They might want to work with a brand. And so oftentimes we do quite a bit more with our stylist behind the scenes. So being a part of our community has a lot of benefits.
What is one piece of advice you are glad you took?
I think the advice that's been resonating for me a lot lately is it's very simple, but it's the concept of like just not giving up, staying persistent, especially when you're in a startup space, right? It's easy to say, oh, this isn't working, or this isn't, going as fast as I would like. But I think I heard somebody say this years ago, that it takes like 10 years to be an overnight success, right? And so we see a lot of big success, and it's easy to get caught up in the splashiness of social media, but that a lot of it is just keeping your head down and grinding on that why, like you asked me about, every single day. And I see a lot of things that are happening for Swivel now that, at 3 years ago, pre-pandemic, I wish were happening then, right? But it wasn't the time. The technology wasn't there. So a lot of these new API integrations we're doing with scheduling software was something I had dreamed of from the beginning of Swivel, but the scheduling software companies weren't offering the ability to integrate with them in the way that they are now. So we're really at the forefront of this. I think we actually are the only beauty marketplace doing these type of deep integrations with different scheduling softwares to create this ability to build a much larger clearinghouse, right? So instead of having to click over to this site and then this site to find a stylist and then trying to find a stylist on another site, we're bringing them all under one umbrella. And I think having the persistence to stick with this to get to the place where the technology exists to do what we want is incredibly exciting.
Jihan, I want you to have a monologue. I want you to name this person, living or not, and they've inspired you so much. Name the person, and what are you saying to that person?
Wow, that is a great question. Well, I often think about, and I don't want to be cliche with my answer, but on the spot, I will say, I certainly often think about Madam C.J. Walker and what she did for Black hair care. And I mean, she was, the way that her business grew was a lot through what we would call today influencer marketing, right? It was a lot of having other women selling her products in homes and building from that base of a business deeply rooted in community. So if I had to speak directly to her, I would say, thank you for your vision, for your persistence, for your unwavering conviction in creating solutions for Black women and being a pioneer in that space in a way that allowed now so many other brands and so many other founders to come behind you to see what could be possible, right? To not stop at just what is, but to see that there is room for so much possibility and so much growth for Black women and for creating products that unapologetically serve them and give them the beauty experience they deserve. So thank you.
Thank you for that. What is your zone of genius?
I really do believe, especially, which is probably why I've gravitated towards tech, is that like anything is possible. That if you can imagine it, you can create it. And in the world of technology, you can, right? Like Swivel, there was nothing like Swivel when we created it to be this destination for Black women that you could search by hair type, that, we built like a custom review situation. So it wasn't just like 5 stars. Like at the time when we built ours, everybody was doing just 5 stars, right? For anything, whether you were on Yelp, Google, whatever, it was just like, you just had one option and that was it. And we very early on were like, no, we know that if you're talking to a girlfriend about her hair, you're going to ask her a couple of key things. How happy was she with her hair? But also how happy was she with the salon experience? Was it what she was looking for? Was it professional? How long did she have to wait? That used to be notorious, right? Like really long wait times in the salon. You wouldn't be asking her, but you'd be looking at like, okay, what does her hair look like? Like, is it a similar texture to mine that this review makes sense for what I'm trying to do? So we created a review platform that asked all of those questions: the hair type of the reviewer, which stylist she saw at the salon, if she liked the salon experience, if she was happy with her hair happiness score, what the average wait time was for her service. I think my zone of genius is like just thinking about creating these things that I just want to see in the world and then going out and doing it. being creative in that way is where I really like to play, and thinking about, okay, this could exist. Like, it didn't exist before. There was nothing like it. I wanted an experience like this. Why can't we build this? Why can't this be something that is there? So I would say that creativity and just thinking up ideas and then bringing them to fruition is probably where my zone of genius lies.
What is your biggest takeaway that you want our audience to leave with from this interview?
That Swivel is on a mission to build the largest global platform for Black women to find hairstylists. And we are a community-driven platform, so that anybody listening to this platform, if they align with our mission, feel passionate about what we're building, to get on Swivel, check it out, recommend it to a stylist, reach out to us. We've often had people early on reach out to us saying, I just love what you guys are building. How can I support? What can I do? We're all about that. So if people that are listening to this feel as drawn to what we're building, would love to welcome them into our community in any capacity, whether you're a hairstylist, whether you're someone who goes to a hair salon, whether you're just somebody who's yeah, this should exist in the world. I want to support. Reach out. I want this to feel like a groundswell of emotion to say, yes, we need more Black-owned businesses like this, supporting other Black-owned businesses. And that's what we're all about. We are propping up an industry of Black-owned hair salons, barbershops, places where people are going for their beauty services. And they're all small business entrepreneurs themselves, right? So that is what we're about passionately building. And that is what I want anyone listening today, fellow entrepreneur who just is in the trenches on their own thing and is listening to this, to connect with us in some way, whether it's following us on social. We're at Swivel Beauty on every platform, or reaching out. Like I said, anything, I think we want this to feel like a mission and a movement. There is a mission and a movement behind this. It's not just the technology, it's what we're creating in this space for Black hair that I'm so passionate about.
What is the best decision you've made as a leader?
I think the best decision I've made as a leader is being willing to be committed to the goal, but not being so dug in about how we get there. Right. So as I mentioned to you before, our goal for Swivel has never changed, never wavered. But we started as an app, and then it became very clear the app experience wasn't right. You have to build an app for iOS, for the iPhone. You've got to build another app for Android, and then you've got to have a great web experience. It's a lot of pieces that don't make a lot of sense for our business right now. So thinking about sunsetting the app and just creating a really dynamic web experience that looks great on your phone, that you can access from a tablet, you can access from your computer if you're on your desktop at work. That became being able to make that transition. At first, I felt oh my God, we spent so much time on this app. This was our baby. To be able to say, you know what, we need to transition how the business runs, that we can do all of these integrations so we can deliver a better experience. I think as a leader, being able to make those tough calls and not being emotionally wrapped up in the decisions, but knowing that these are the right things for the business, I think is something that I'm proud of being able to do and work through as a founder and figure out okay, we can still get to the goal, but we need to make these changes to get there, and to get there faster and to deliver a better experience.
Talk about your top 2 mentors or influencers, and what lessons do they teach you?
I will say one of our very early stylists, we still get together and meet. Her name is Ebony Knight. She runs a salon called Textured Press. I'm giving her a shout out on here. She's based in New York City. She was just moving into her new salon space when we launched Swivel, and showed up at her door knocking, saying we'd love for you to check out our prototype of our platform. Will you, sign up? And we have stayed in close contact since that very first meeting. And it's been amazing to watch her business grow and soar since joining Swivel. She now has a product line. She has a new salon concept. She is just doing amazingly well. But we'll often get together and push each other, serve as accountability partners for each other at times. But it also keeps me really close to the stylist community and to who we are always serving, right? Our customer is both the client and the stylist. And we never lose sight of that. And we never want to lose sight of what the stylist needs, what they're looking for, how we can support them, even as we grow. And we can't walk into every salon like we used to, right? That's just not humanly possible. But keeping close conversations with hairstylists in our community has helped me really influence how we grow and build Swivel. Because I'll often go to them and say, I want to try this. Can I try this out with you? Could you road test this on the platform and give me your honest feedback? I mean, without those connections, without those relationships, a lot of things we building wouldn't be possible. And they often find things that I don't think about because I'm not a hairstylist. So being able to lean on them and have those relationships has been huge. But Ebony is one stylist who I'll text and we'll talk often about how we can support each other's businesses. And so that, I think, just having other founders in the space, but then also particularly having a hairstylist that we can work with has been really influential, I think, in the growth of Swivel.
Let's talk about legacy. When it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for building this experience for Black women that exist far beyond me, right? Even if nobody knew my name, that would be fine. But if you had this experience that then you could pass on to your daughters and to your sons and say, like, you don't have to think about, I think there was such a time when it felt like getting your hair done as a Black woman was a struggle, right? It was like trying to find a stylist, being in the salon all day. People had so many gripes, and the experience stopped feeling like pampering. It stopped feeling like something you wanted to do and became something you had to do. And I would say this was another thing we heard often in the very beginning when we talked to people about hairstylists. They would say, like, we'd be like, okay, who do you go to? We're building up our early recommendations. And we would often have people say things like, oh yeah, no, I can't recommend this person. They do my hair, but like, I don't really love the experience, or I have this gripe or this thing. And you're just kind of like, that sucks. Or you have people who are like, oh no, I still travel. Like, I take a train home to get my hair done where I'm from because I just can't be bothered with trying to find somebody new. Right. And so, like, to eliminate that frustration from the hair care experience is what I want my legacy to be. I want this piece of beauty. It's only one slice of beauty. I think it's a very important slice of the beauty experience to feel like, wow, this company's got my back. They've thought of everything that's going to make my hair experience so much easier, so much simpler, that I don't even have to think about it. I feel like there have been other experiences I've had with other platforms and other apps where I'm like, this has made my life easier and better, right? And like, we think about those things. And I want people to walk away. I want the legacy of Swivel to have that same feeling of, this made my life better. And now for generations to come, when other young, and I mean, I think we're seeing a lot of change now, but I feel like when those blow dry bars were popping up, it was easy to feel like other, right? It felt like, okay, I can't have that experience because I'm not sure they have a stylist that works there that can do my hair. This idea of like, we can't just walk into any salon because we're not sure all the stylists are trained to work with our hair texture. Swivel's just taking all of that away. You don't need to have any more of those uncomfortable conversations, those uncomfortable moments. You don't need to feel othered in your beauty experience. We want to create a situation where you're the center. You're at the center of that experience. It's created for you and it feels beautiful. And I want that to be the legacy of what we've created, because it's not just about hair. When you feel seen, when you feel taken care of, when you feel like your beauty needs matter, that's a whole different ballgame. And that's the goal.
And I know that you're building out Swivel Beauty. Have you thought about or anything around like women that are biracial and getting their hair done, or kids that have parents that may not understand the texture of their hair?
Sure. So, I mean, any of those consumers that you just mentioned can use Swivel Beauty. As I mentioned even from the start of our conversation, I said women of color, specifically really focus on Black women, but anybody with a curly, coily, kinky texture can come on our platform, put in their hair texture, and find stylists that know how to work with it. So even if the parent, let's say, doesn't have that texture, but they can see their child has a coily, curly texture, they can find stylists that know how to style that. We get the kids question a lot. We have some stylists that work with kids' hair, but a lot of stylists don't. So I do think there's an opportunity to really showcase an offering where you could put in like kid styling, right? Like that could be one of your search criteria. And what you pull up is stylists that work primarily with children or take younger clients. So those are offerings we would love to have, and really just building out the stylists that say, yep, I work with kids, and then being able to have that as a search criteria within our platform. But yes, biracial, curly hair, frizzy hair, you name it. I mean, the stylists on our platform, that's the thing about stylists with texture, they can pretty much do any texture. So you can come to our platform and put in what you're looking for and find stylists that know what they're doing. So while we are creating an experience for Black women, it is a texture specific experience. So it doesn't matter if you are a Black woman, you can come to looking for a stylist that fits your texture. Starting with the Black women consumer is important to us because she has been so overlooked in beauty, especially in hair services, in the hair services space for so long. But we are texture specific. So if you have anything from like a super loose wave to a tight curl, you can find a stylist on our platform who can certainly serve your hair care needs.
Thank you for that. What do you need right now that you don't have to move the needle forward?
Well, I think one of the things that we're growing, as I mentioned, are the stylists on our platform. So we want to be in every major market across the country. We know there are clients looking for stylists across the country. And we used to have this survey that would run about like, tell us where you are and where Swivel should be next. And people could put in where they're looking for stylists. And we have gotten thousands of hits of people telling us where they're looking for hair care professionals. So right now we're really focused on growing stylists across the country so we can build this robust network. So that is a thing we need. More stylists who know texture everywhere in the United States can come on and join our platform so clients can find them.
If you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
I mean, you've asked so many great questions. I will say that this is tough. Well, one thing I'll add that I haven't mentioned, and I'm sure I could have in one of the questions that you asked is there a way people can become ambassadors for Swivel if they really were moved by this interview to want to get deeply involved? We do offer an ambassador program. So if the question was like, how can people listening get even more deeply involved in what Swivel's doing? We are building out an ambassador program so that people who want to evangelize, become a part of our community, and share the mission of Swivel with stylists in their own community, there is a way to earn affiliate revenue by sharing Swivel and helping us sign up stylists in their local communities. So if anybody's interested in that, hit us up at info@swivelbeauty.com, subject line ambassador program, and we'll get back in touch with you about joining. Something we're not publicizing it widely on the site yet, but it is something that we are offering. So to people listening into this interview, if they want to get a sneak peek of it and get in on it early, they can reach out, info@swivelbeauty.com to join our ambassador program.
And I know someone in my audience is going to say, why didn't you ask? So I'm going to ask this in terms of any future plans in terms of the barber business.
So at the moment, we are not looking to move into the male barber space. I think there's some great platforms that are focused on barbers right now that do that. We think there's a lot to cover with women's hair care before trying to tackle a whole other market. There's a lot, right? Like tons to do, tons of stylists to support and help them grow their businesses before we move into or even think about an adjacent category. So right now, we're going to win this market, focus on this, and that's our main goal.
Let's talk about self-care. What does self-care look like for you?
Self-care for me is exercise, 100%. It is the thing that makes me feel my best. I get my clearest head, my best ideas through exercise. And when I can't exercise or I don't have time, I notice a difference in how I feel and just like how clear-headed I am about things and making decisions for the business. So without a doubt, I have learned over the years through lots of failed self-care and self-care experiments that it really is quite simple for me. If I commit to a consistent exercise regimen, that has like just a ripple effect of benefits for me and on my mood and on how I work and everything. And I do Pilates and run. Those are my main exercises that I swear by.
We've come to the part of our interview. It's called Rapid Round of Fun. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to give me very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Rapid Round of Fun?
I will tell you, I'm notoriously bad at these, but yes, I am ready. I will try.
Your favorite comfort food?
Pizza.
Your ideal car?
Volvo.
Your favorite color?
Right now, this neon yellow.
The last movie you saw?
Air, the Nike movie.
You relax doing what?
Exercising.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Gosh, I am really into who right now. I'm a big, well, I'll just go with Beyonce for right now because it's in my head right now.
Your favorite dance song?
For dance song. My God, I don't even know. I don't know. Pass. I can't even think of one.
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
Smoothie.
Workout or hit the couch?
Workout.
Jihan Thompson, thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, share with our audience the best way for them to connect with you and to do business with you, and feel free to leave all your social media handles.
I will. Thank you so much for having me, first of all. This was so fun. I really enjoyed this. The best way people can get in touch is head over to swivelbeauty.com. We're at Swivel Beauty on Instagram. I think we're at Swivel Beauty Inc. on TikTok. But check us out on Instagram, check us out on our website, swivelbeauty.com. And then any other way you want to contact us, you can do that through the website.
Thank you. That's a wrap.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.